I think like most 16-year-olds that grew up where I grew up, I thought I was an adult. I don't think you could have told me at that time that I wasn't a man.
It's been 11 years, but it's like yesterday.
At 17, I was on a level 4 maximum security prison.
He turned 17, and a week later, he was dead.
As I got older, I think I came to the understanding of the resolution I was gonna die in this place. And how did I want to be remembered? I didn't want the last memory of people to having me as the murderer who came into prison and never changed and died in this miserable environment.
We're honoring you, Nicholas. We're honoring you today and every day.
I've been in shoes. I've spent ample time in the hole. It wasn't until maybe 10, 12, 15 years into my sentence that I really started making a sincere effort to break away from that way of living.
Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen. I miss you, baby. But I know you're okay. I know you give me strength to do this, to show them that we can move on from this, we can keep on going, we can help people. Because you did not die in vain, baby. You did not die in vain. We are headed to Lancaster Prison to do the symposium with Javier Starling and Healing Dialogue in Action.
We have a justice system where, a crime is committed. We find the person who committed the crime, we punish them, and we say, okay, justice has been served. But unfortunately, that just perpetuates a cycle of violence many times.
I also have a son in prison, and he was also taken at the age of 17. I want someone to help my son just as much as I'm helping somebody else's son. They don't see the damage they did until we come in and we tell our stories. So this is Nicholas, and this is David.
When we walk in and we work with men in prison, preparing the survivor, family member survivor of the crime, and the person responsible for the crime to come to a place where they are going to be completely honest and that they see each other as human beings, to cross over that imaginary line and ask questions of the person who injured them. And when the person responsible has an opportunity to sit across from a member of the victim's family, that kind of healing, you don't find it in a therapy session.
In 1992, I was at a hotel with my girlfriend, Carolyn. And when we got there was two gentlemen that I knew. One of them had just got out of the county jail. I was familiar with both of them. So eventually she pulls me to the side and she tells me that when Moses got out of the county jail, he came to her house looking for me. And they sexually assaulted her. And the details she was telling me at the time, there was a lot of humiliation that took place. And I proceeded to go confront this individual. He acknowledged that he did it, why he did it, a bunch of colorful language as to what transpired. And at that moment, I was at a loss for what to do. I was 16. And so Carolyn tells me, look, don't cause a problem right here because they're probably gonna hurt you if you say something. And so I leave. I didn't really know who to go to for something like this, the gravity of it, especially in the culture that I grew up in, like who do you tell? And what I had been taught about manhood, you don't tuck tail and go crying at people when something happens. And so I went back to the hotel room, but my idea was to rehash this issue for how he dealt with me earlier. And he did, and all the colorful language came out again. And it was so incendiary to me at the time that I just I flew into motion. I drew the gun and I shot him. As soon as I shot him, it was almost as if time slowed down. And I started shooting everybody in that room. From the time it started to the time it ended was 3 seconds. And immediately upon leaving that room, I knew how horrible of a mistake that I had made. I think the thing that hurts the most is that I knew the people involved personally. I knew Jennifer, I knew her family. I knew Derek's family. I knew Moses' family.
You know, the saying, hurt people hurt people. I want heal people heal people. In October of 2008, I'm in class, and all of a sudden my neighbor from across the street, she came into the classroom and she goes, "Get your stuff, let's go. Nico's been shot," she said. I get to the hospital, and they take me to the chapel. My daughter's there. She looked at me and she says, "Mama, Nico's dead." And I remember hearing all kinds of noises, and it's like, what the hell is that? It's coming out of me. It's coming out of me. I'm screaming no, and I'm screaming no, and I'm screaming no. It's been 11 years, and it's like yesterday. And I miss him every day, every day. I want you to see a glimpse of the way you leave us. 11 years later, I'm still hurting. I'm still hurting.
How do you carry that, Desmond? How do you carry that?
It's hard to verbalize being the source of somebody's pain when you've gone through so much pain yourself. When you've had loved ones to be murdered and their bodies discarded like they didn't matter, and you left the memory of these people in a hotel room shot to death is the last thing that loved ones had to take. It's not easy to carry. Even admitting it to a group of people that this isn't like some, I just so happened to get caught up in a group of people and a robbery went bad or something of that nature. This is a premeditated, vicious, brutal murder, multiple murder that I'm solely responsible for. I carried that by myself, and so I didn't even know that there were people like this that cared to hear what you felt or what you went through. I say it helped to have these sort of circles where you can talk to people who have suffered that loss, and when you look at them and they show you some sort of compassion.
They touch on feelings and emotions that they were taught you don't open up, you don't touch, you don't say anything because that makes you weak. You are not your kind. You are not your kind.
For those who wish, just a little ritual to really honor the stories that we've heard, to remember your loved ones. I couldn't do this work if I didn't have hopes for a better system. And what's cool is that we have the roadmap. We know how to do it. All we have to do is open our hearts and our ears to the stories of the people that have been directly impacted by this system. Listen to the Desmonds. Listen to the Noras.
For survivors, it can be very healing to share space with somebody who was an offender.
If the victim survivors knew ahead of time what the prisoners were doing while they were here, because as it is, they're there and they're upset and they're going through the whole trauma, and then all this is thrown at them and it's not enough time to process, to really, really think about what they have been doing.
When offenders are confronted with survivors, they can truly understand the impact that their crime had on their victims. And it can be a real genesis for meaningful change.
we can write and implement laws that represent the best of humanity. We can build places that hold people accountable that are not the dehumanizing model of prisons that we have right now. We can accompany survivors in their pain with dignity and with hope of healing.
Because they don't really have a means for inmates to communicate with the survivors of violent crime. So what I did on my own was to write letters to them. And I figured I never knew when I would have an opportunity to show them these letters or to share them with them. And so I just started logging my thoughts. As you age in this environment, you see kids who are very much like you were. And they come in here like wide-eyed and just completely naive to what's actually happening, and you feel an obligation to guide them in a different direction. We know there's wounds, and we know we created those wounds, but that's the real work, is to sit across from somebody whose life has been torn apart by the same thing that you've done. They gotta look you in the face, and you wonder if they're gonna accept you, to let them know that we do actually care about them, what they go through, their experience. You gotta tap into your humanity. We say it a lot, we reiterate it a lot, but it's really crucial that you let yourself feel what you feel, to sit in the seat of that emotion for a minute and allow that to like resonate with you. I'm gonna tell you what I think about Javier. I think what he's doing is revolutionary, not only for the survivors, but also for us, because I don't think anybody would have given us a chance to voice these things. The people in here that know what's happening with you in this program, you're like a champion, because they feel like you're representing their voice.
I'm convinced that if more people out there knew the quality of human beings that are in here, and obviously not everybody is you, but you guys in some way represent the potential of what can happen in spite of the dehumanizing experience that incarceration is.
I never would have thought about doing this process. I thought that time I went to court was a one-time experience, but to be able to do that with the survivors of violent crime and what I've gotten from it is so invaluable. And I think about you. Every time we have an experience, I think about, wow, what would my life look like without Javier? You've joined that list of rare few people that have gotten me to a place that I never thought I would get to. And so for that, I say thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, man.